He was born in a small village on the Rhine, but lived a life that spanned continents. A boy educated in the elite military schools of Europe. A young officer whose skill with a saber became the subject of campfire stories. A veteran of European revolutions, the Turkish Cavalry, and the Mexican War. A man who crossed oceans in search of a fight and found his final one in the pine forests of Louisiana. This is the story of Augustus Karl Buchel, one of the most extraordinary soldiers ever to wear a Texas uniform. Augustus Karl Buchel was born on October 4, 1813, in the village of Guntersblum, along the Rhine River in the Grand Duchy of Hesse. His parents were modest people, his father a cooper, and his mother from a local farming family. From the beginning, Buchel's early life contains hints of the extraordinary. Some accounts suggest he showed unusual intelligence and discipline at a young age. Others state only that he was sent away to be educated, rare for a boy of his class. What is clear is this: before he turned 15, Buchel was enrolled in the École militaire de Saint-Cyr in France, one of the premier military academies in Europe. Even here, his past is partially shrouded. Some sources say he entered Saint-Cyr as a cadet. Others claim he studied privately near the academy's instructors. But every version agrees. Buchel left his youth behind early to become a soldier. Buchel's military career reads like the plot of a 19th-century adventure novel. In his late teens and early 20s, he served as a French officer, possibly attached to cavalry units operating near the Rhine. He fought in the Revolution of 1830, and some accounts suggest he served briefly with the Ottoman Empire, advising Turkish cavalry. Reliable or not, these stories grew into the legend of Buchel, the quiet young officer whose swordsmanship was unmatched, who fought duels throughout Europe, and who earned a reputation as a man drawn to danger. What is documented is that by the 1840s, he had immigrated to the United States, arriving with a world of military experience and the discipline of a European professional soldier. He arrived in late 1845 at Karlshafen on the Texas coast, later known as Indianola, where he established residence. When the Mexican-American War erupted, Buchel again volunteered for service, this time as a captain in the 1st Regiment of Texas Mounted Riflemen, under the legendary John Coffee Hayes. Here, his European cavalry training immediately set him apart. Buchel fought in several campaigns in northern and central Mexico, but his most important service came at the Battle of Buena Vista in February 1847. There, he served as aide-de-camp on the staff of General Zachary Taylor, carrying orders across the battlefield and helping coordinate the defense that halted Santa Anna's army. The men who saw him ride that day never forgot his coolness under fire. After the war, Buchel chose to remain in Texas, now his adopted home. President Franklin Pierce appointed him Collector of Customs at Port Lavaca, a federal post he held for many years. He became a respected figure along the Texas coast, known for his efficiency, honesty, and unshakable discipline. Buchel also entered business. He partnered with M.T. Huck in Corpus Christi, selling lumber and building materials during the region's period of rapid growth. But even in civilian life, he never stayed far from military responsibility. In 1859, as violence erupted along the Rio Grande during the Cortina Wars, Buchel organized the Indianola Volunteers, a militia company formed to oppose the depredations of Juan N. Cortina's band. Buchel drilled the unit for a year, instilling them with the same precision he had learned on European parade grounds. But the volunteers were never ordered into combat, and the company disbanded quietly in 1860. By the time the nation descended into civil war, Augustus Buchel had already lived the life of three men: soldier, officer, federal official, and frontier militia commander. And yet, his greatest service was still ahead. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, Augustus Buchel once again answered the call to arms. He was appointed lieutenant colonel of the 3rd Texas Infantry, operating in South Texas, where he helped organize and train volunteers during the turbulent early months of the war. Buchel's discipline and professionalism quickly marked him for higher command. In 1863, he was promoted to colonel of the 1st Texas Cavalry, a regiment that saw extensive duty along the Texas Gulf Coast. There, Buchel's leadership proved essential, patrolling coastal approaches, securing ports, and guarding against Union incursions. But events to the east soon demanded his presence. As the threat of a major Union invasion into Texas loomed, Confederate commanders began shifting units toward Louisiana. Buchel and the 1st Texas Cavalry were ordered into the Red River Campaign, a theater that would become the most critical and final chapter of his military life. On April 9, 1864, at the Battle of Pleasant Hill, Buchel led his men in a dismounted charge under withering fire. It was there that he was struck by a mortal wound, yet he remained on the field long enough to steady his regiment and oversee their withdrawal. He was carried to Mansfield, where he died days later. Most accounts list his death as April 15th, though his brigade commander, General Hamilton P.B., recorded in his official report that Buchel died on April 11th, just 2 days after the battle. Regardless of the exact date, his passing marked the end of one of the most remarkable soldiers' journeys in Texas history. A detachment of his own cavalrymen carried his body with solemn ceremony back to Austin, where he was interred in the Texas State Cemetery. At the graveside, Lieutenant Governor Fletcher S. Stockdale delivered a moving eulogy, praising Buchel's discipline, courage, and devotion to Texas. In the years that followed, the state of Texas erected an impressive stone monument over his grave, ensuring that the memory of this world-traveled soldier would not fade with time. Today, visitors to the Texas State Cemetery can still find his resting place, a reminder that the life of Augustus Carl Buchel spanned continents, conflicts, and causes, but ultimately came to rest in the land he chose as his home. If you enjoyed this episode of the Texas Generals, please like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories about the men who shaped Texas history.